All right, so welcome to the second video for our fat loss module. In this particular video, I'm strictly going to be talking about how to create your blueprints and then how to modify them based off of your progress or lack thereof progress for fat loss goals. So before I go into that, I'm going to go through the three types of changes you will be having in your blueprints. The first change is just simply making your blueprints, right? And that first set of blueprints that we have for fat loss is going to be called our metabolic boost. So I'll be going through that first. The second phase will be called lean phase 1. And that's going to be our first caloric deficit. And then the third one will be lean phase 2, our second and final caloric deficit. Now, going back to our metabolic boost, what is this? This is the first 2 to 3 weeks of following your blueprints of boosting your metabolism. How do you boost your metabolism, you may ask? It's simply going to be slightly increasing your calories with the proper nutrients. And those proper nutrients will primarily be coming from your protein and your vegetables. Now, you will probably be asking yourself, Justina, how in the world, if we're trying to lose body fat, why are we increasing our metabolism via increasing our calories? That is exactly how we get our metabolism rerouted. In order to boost your metabolism to therefore get increase and lose body fat, we do have to increase our calories. It starts to kind of rev the engine a little bit more. It's kind of like refilling your tank in your car in order to get from point A to point B. That's exactly what the metabolic boost is. And again, the key food sources that we're going to prioritize will be protein and vegetables. I always tell my clients who have fat loss as their goal to always eat in a hierarchy throughout their entire program. And that's eating their protein and veggies first on their plate and then going to all the other food sources. Now, some quote unquote side effects that you will feel through the metabolic boost. Most people do feel bloating that will subside. That bloating is most likely due to one, the increase in the number of times you're probably going to be eating throughout the day, but also the amount of fiber that you'll be getting from vegetables. Most people who come into our program are not necessarily eating the right amount of veggies before the program. So then when they come in, their body is a little bit shocked for the amount of vegetables that they're eating because of the amount of fiber. So it will kind of take a little bit of time for your body to acclimate to that fiber. So that bloating will subside. Fullness will also subside. Again, it's due to your body getting used to eating a certain amount of times throughout the day. It's your body getting used to the amount of protein that you're going to be eating, and it's your body getting used to the amount of vegetables that it'll be eating as well. But then on the flip side, some positives that will always be there throughout the entirety of following the blueprints for fat loss is an increase in energy and an increase in performance. These two will actually be also indicators for measuring progress that I'll be elaborating on in a couple of videos later. Now, when thinking of your metabolic boost, how the heck are you going to create your first set of blueprints? Well, step one is to determine the amount of protein needed. We always start with protein, right? And a good rule of thumb is the total protein for any type of day, whether you are working out or having a rest day, it should be 1 gram per 1 pound of your body weight. So if you weigh 125 pounds, you should be having around 125 grams of protein. And I say have around 125 grams of protein because in the CBG world, the CBG methodology, we try and make it as sustainable as possible so you do not hyper focus on hitting that exact number. Now, how do we do that? We make sure that counting our protein, that protein is only coming from our protein source. The typical method of macro counting is you're counting your protein coming from all of the food sources. So coming from your vegetables, coming from your carb sources, your fat sources, as well as your protein sources. What we do here is only count the protein coming from the protein source. So for example, if you have steak as a meal, you're only counting the protein from the steak as protein for your meal. So if you look at the right-hand side with our CBG macro cheat sheet, the left portion of the right-hand figure is certain protein examples, but that final bullet point gives you the CBG way of really making the counting easy, right? So if you were to weigh out your protein sources, 1 ounce of a cooked protein will equate to 6 grams of protein itself. So that's why I say you want to hit around 125 grams of protein if you're 125 pounds. It's okay if you're slightly over, it's okay if you're slightly under. It's never going to be a perfect science, and that is okay. That's what we acknowledge here at CBG, and we still get our clients to see results. So now, how do we spread the 125 grams of protein throughout our day? Well, for someone with fat loss, what we recommend here at CBG is to have them have about 6 meals a day if that truly fits into your schedule. If it doesn't, you'll kind of chop down the amount of meals per day and then increase the amount of protein per meal. But thinking of myself, this is 100% doable for me. I can have a breakfast, I can have a post workout shake, I can have lunch, a snack in the afternoon, dinner, and a bedtime shake. So for this particular example, I'm utilizing my schedule. You can kind of swap it out based off of your schedule after watching this video, but I do work out in the morning. So I'll have breakfast, I'll work out, and then have a protein shake. So what I did to make my life easy is I've made all of my meals the same amount of protein to hit around 125 grams of protein for the day. So that will be about 18 grams of protein. If I go back to this page and I look at the macro cheat sheet, how in the world am I going to hit 18 grams of protein per meal? Well, that's simple. I'm going to weigh out 3 ounces of a cooked protein because 3 times 6 is 18 grams. And that is exactly how I'm going to hit 18 grams of protein per meal. Thinking of a post-workout protein shake, most protein powders are around 18 grams of protein to 30 grams of protein. So as long as you do 1 scoop of that powder, you'll be good to go. And that's how we hit our protein intake for the day for metabolic boost. Now, going into vegetable and fat content for your blueprints, starting with veggies, super easy, right? We only have 2 rules here at CBG. If you weigh less than 200 pounds, you should be having 1 cup or 100 grams of weight in vegetables per meal for about 3 to 4 meals, not all 6. If you weigh over 200 pounds, you'll be having 1.5 cups to 2 cups or 150 grams to 200 grams of vegetables for 3 to 4 meals. So vegetables are super easy. Veggie examples are in this green section to the right-hand side. Thinking of fat, kind of a little bit more simpler when we think about it compared to protein and then what you'll see for carbs. Fats, a very easy way to make this very sustainable for you is to follow this rule of thumb. Females will range from 60 to 75 grams of fat for an entire day. Males will range from 90 to 105 grams of fat for a particular day. This will be different based off of each individual, but the beauty about the CBG methodology is it's experimental. You get to figure out what you feel best on. Some females may feel and thrive at 60 grams of fat, whereas others thrive at 75. So it's give or take. These are figures for our CBG methodology. If you were to not count the amount numerically, we do have these kind of household item objects again. I forgot to mention the fat sources and examples are also on this section as well. Now, let's say if you are trying to get, 30, 60. So I have 75 grams of fat here for my example. A good way of hitting this in an easy manner is splitting it up in the rules of 15s for CBG. The rules of 15s exist here at CBG because of the way that we measure things. So in order to hit, let's say 15 grams of fat, for a meal, we look at this macro cheat sheet. Everything is in the rules of 15s, right? 15 grams of nut butter will be about 2 tablespoons. 15 grams of a regular butter will be about 1 tablespoon. A half of avocado is 15 grams as well. So that's why we have the rules of 15s. It makes prepping your meals much easier. So what I did was for all of my meals, except for my post-workout, we have 15 grams of fat. The reason why we don't want to have a dietary fat with our post-workout shake is because our body doesn't actually prioritize dietary fat immediately after a workout. So it's not going to absorb and utilize it like we want it to. Instead, it's going to absorb and utilize protein like we want it to and carb, which I'm going to get into in a second. So again, this is still our metabolic boost. This is the first set of blueprints that you're going to be making for yourself to spike your metabolism up to get ready for a caloric deficit. Now, finally, step 3, determining your carbohydrate content. Now, for fat loss, the bare minimum content for carbs should be 1 gram per pound of body weight. So again, I'm 125 pounds, so the minimum that I should consume is 125 grams. You must be strategic in where you place these grams of carbs based off of your activity level. So for example, rest days, you're going to have a little bit less carbs than your workout days. If you look over to the right-hand side, we have some carbohydrate examples and how we measure them in the CBG methodology. Before I get into spreading the amount of carbs around throughout my day, I do want to just simply highlight again the amount of carbs that you see here. So for example, 125 grams of carbs. This is strictly coming from your carb source. We know at CBG you're having more carbs than this, but you are not going to stress over them. Now, for a workout day for me, I have to be a little bit more strategic in where I place these carbohydrates. You want to always have more carbs near your workouts. So if you look here, for breakfast, I have 30 grams of carbs. For lunch, I have 30 grams of carbs. For post-workout, I have 20 grams of carbs in that blue font. I want to kind of mesh a significant amount of carbs like a sandwich around my workouts because I want to fuel myself going in and then refuel leaving that workout. This is where we get that proper recovery, proper muscle recovery and muscle rebuilding, and your body will not store that excess carb, aka glucose, as body fat. For all of the other meals for my day, my snack, I have 20 grams, dinner, I have 30 grams, bedtime shake, I have 30 grams. These are going to be strategically placed because those larger meals of breakfast, lunch, dinner need to have that significant amount of carb. Now, this bedtime shake, now that we've had all of the macronutrient sources filled out, I'm going to explain why this bedtime shake is here. This bedtime shake is here for a couple of reasons. One, if your goal is fat loss, you may feel a little bit hungry in the later stages when you're in a caloric deficit. This bedtime shake will be here to act as a dessert and as a satiating snack before heading to bed. The other reason why this bedtime shake is here is it helps your body properly recover while you are asleep. It's going to help your muscles rebuild. If you work out fasted in the morning, this is what's going to fuel that workout. So it's a very important bedtime shake. And that is your metabolic boost. Now, you may be thinking, well, what's next? How do we go into a caloric deficit? How do we know what to remove from this metabolic boost blueprint in order to see fat loss? So on and so forth. Don't worry, I will tell you that right now. So now we're getting into lean phase 1. When does this occur? This occurs 2 to 3 weeks after your metabolic boost, or if you hit a plateau. Now, why do I have the or if you hit a plateau? The reason why I have that here is because some clients, believe it or not, see a lot of success in their metabolic boost. They lose all of the weight that they want to lose, so there's no need to make any more changes. If that is you, stay on that metabolic boost until you hit that plateau. What is a plateau? No more weight loss, no more fat loss in your progress pictures, or your energy is going bye-bye. If you get any of those plateau markers, you will head into this lean phase 1. Now, what happens in lean phase 1? We're only going to be changing fat. And you'll be shocked. It doesn't need to be a crazy amount of fat that you're removing. It's actually very subtle. And those subtle changes are what makes you see the best success in fat loss. Other side effects that we'll see in the fat loss phase for lean phase 1 is a decrease in your body fat and or weight, an increase in your energy, and an increase in performance. How do we have an increase in energy and performance while decreasing calories, you may ask? We're decreasing it at a very strategic manner. We're not shocking our body. We're shocking the system. We're doing it very gradual. And that's what makes it sustainable for performance, energy, and actual weight loss. Now, where do we remove that dietary fat from? So you may not see the changes that quickly when you look at this blueprint. But if you look closely, I've removed fat from breakfast and from the snack. The reason why I removed fat from breakfast. So a total of 30 grams is removed for the day, I should say. The reason why I removed it from breakfast is because, again, you can't really utilize dietary fat that well before your workout as a fuel source and then after your workout as a refueling source. So I removed it from breakfast. And then snack, I removed it simply based off of my preference. It's a lot easier for me to not have fat when I have a protein bar and a banana as a snack than it is to remove fat from a lunch that may have, some salad dressing in there that would count as a fat source. So that's why I removed that one. And that is your lean phase 1. Most people that we work with at CBG stay on this phase and only this phase. We never go past another deficit. However, some people do hit a plateau, and then that means they go into lean phase 2. And in lean phase 2, when does this occur? 2 to 3 weeks after lean phase 1, or if you hit a plateau. So you really need to be mindful of your progress and how to measure your progress, which you will learn soon. Most people will not hit a plateau for a while in this deficit, so you'll hang out here for a while. However, if you do hit a plateau, or if it's 2 to 3 weeks and then you hit that plateau, the key changes that you're going to make is going to be fat and or carbs. I say and or because it's very indicative of how you are feeling physically. And I'll kind of discuss that. Most people that I work with, I do remove both fat and carb because their body feels good, so there's no need to worry about it. Side effects, same deal here. You're still going to be decreasing your fat and or your weight. You'll still be having an increase in your energy, and you'll still be having an increase in your performance. Now, where do I remove the fat and the carb? Again, fat was removed from your breakfast and snack. Carbs are removed only, and very much only, from dinner. So if you look, I remove fat, from dinner and the bedtime shake. So a total of only 20 grams of carbs are removed. Pregnancy brain is real, guys. Pregnancy brain goes into postpartum. So now it's called mom brain, and I still have it. And that is why I'm tripping over my words. And I'm very sorry. But anyway, dinner and your bedtime shake, there is a total of 20 grams of carbs removed. The reason why we remove them there is because they are furthest away from our workout. We need as many carbs as possible closest to our workouts, and that's why it's removed there. Now, really quickly, before I end this video, that was lean phase 2. You may be asking, well, Justina, what happens if I hit a plateau after lean phase 2? Rest assured, we have a game plan. We will not be going lower in calories after lean phase 2. Instead, we're going to be going higher, and that's called a refeed period. What I say to my clients is we're going to move back up the ladder. So if you think of your 3 phases of your blueprints, you have your metabolic boost, you have your lean phase 1, you have your lean phase 2. If you hit a plateau during lean phase 2, that's okay. We're just going to go back up to lean phase 1. So that's going back up the ladder. If you hit a plateau in lean phase 1, you go back down to lean phase 2, still nothing's happening in progress, you're going all the way back up to the metabolic boost, okay? These slight increases in calories will, again, like the metabolic boost your metabolism. So that should allow us to still see a decrease in body fat. It should still allow us to see a decrease in weight, an increase in energy, and an increase in performance. And that is exactly how you create your blueprints. In the next video, what I'm going to be showing you is just supplementation for fat loss, as well as getting some results and tracking your progress.